Hello students, this is the agenda for today and we'll be interpreting functions and you will be able to do 6.1. Today students will be able to name different parts of a function in its graph. And we'll begin with some definitions and finding out in a graph those parts. So first we have global maximum. That's the highest of all points in a graph, the one that is way to the top. And in this graph, this is the highest of all the points in the entire graph. So this is 4, 6. So the global maxima will be 4 for x, 6 for y. And then the global minimum will be the lowest of all points. And it's not the one on the left because a lot of people get confused with that one. It's the lowest. If you notice, it's going like this. This is lower than that one. So this is the lowest point, which seems to be a -1, -4.1. Let's put -4.25. So that's the global minimum. Now, the other one that we have is local maxima. And in that case, it's all the highest points compared to the points around that specific point. And so in here, we will include the global maxima. It's included in that local maxima. Okay, so 4, 6 is included as my local maxima. But also the other points that we compare, like this point is higher than these other points around it. So that's also a highest point compared to those. Okay, it's higher than the other point. So that's also, and it looks like it's at -4, +3. So -4, +3. So those are my two local maxima. If you notice, when it was only one, which is the global, is maximum, it's singular, maxima is plural. And so we have the global minimum, it was that one, but then we also have local minimum, which is all the lowest points compared to those around it. So that's lower than those, and this one is lower than those other points next to it. So that will be -5, -3. So we include the global minimum, which is -1, -4.25, -4.25, and also that new point, which is -5, -3. Okay, those are local minima. Again, for the local minima, we have more than one sometimes, and it includes the global minima. Okay, some other vocabulary that we will find or interpret in our functions is the positive and the negative, and we'll be applying this to real scenarios, but for now we're just defining the information. Where, once we are graphing it, where is it positive and when will the graph be negative? So positive is when the points are above the x-axis, so right here. And negative is when the points are below the x-axis. But if the points are exactly on the x-axis, they're not positive and they're not negative, they're neutral. Okay, not positive, not negative. Okay, so when are they positive? Above. So that means that this section right here will be positive. This part right here is also positive. And here, because all of those points are above the x-axis. That means if we look at this arrow or this part of the graph, it includes the values -5, -6, -7, because it keeps going. This arrow means that it will continue on and on. So x is less than -4. If the graph is to the left of that point, then it's less than -4. But also in here we can say, oh, it's when x is between 0 and 3. So when we have that notation, we just write the 0 and the 3. we put x in the middle, and we say that x is greater than 0, but less than 3, right? In here is less than 3, but in here is greater than 0, greater than 0. That's how you read it. X is greater than 0 and less than 3. Okay, so it's between those two numbers. And my color broke on me, but that's okay. I wasn't upset. I just stepped on it. Okay, so for the negative part is where the points are below the x-axis. Below the x-axis is this section right here, this part of the graph, and also this part right here. So what can we say then? Well, the graph is negative between -4 and 0, right? We always look at the values of x, -4, 0, put the x in the middle, and just put gray. X is greater than -4, but less than 0. And for this section, we can say, oh, x is 4, 5, 6. So that means x is greater than 3. Again, we don't put the equal because it doesn't include that point right there. Why? Because right there, the graph is neutral. It's not positive, it's not negative. Again, why do we put x is greater than 3? Because the graph here starts right here and it goes on and on and on. The values for x in here is 4, 5, 6, etc. But we're not looking at the values of y. We only look at it to know that that's in the negatives, right? And that's why it's negative section of it. So +5, -1. So this tells me that it's in the negative, okay? But this just tells me, oh, it's greater than the 3. And so that's why we put x is greater than 3, because all the values in here are greater than that number. Okay, more vocabulary, and this one sometimes gets confused with positive and negative, but it's increasing. Increasing is when the slope is positive. Positive slope will be when the line is positive as well. And decreasing is when the slope is negative, meaning that, and it can be a curve, okay, it's going, but it's when the slope is negative, okay? So, oh, one more thing in here, it says, at all the maxima and minima, there is no increase nor decrease because the slope is equals to 0. It just stops right there, okay? It doesn't continue to grow or decrease. So this is a graph. For the increasing section, what I recommend is just underline it with a color and then color it to identify it easier. So I noticed that the slope is positive in here. Also in this section right here is positive. In here, it's not. It's going down. From left to right, it's going down. In here, it's going up as well. So it's positive. This one is going down. And then this one is going up again. So those are the sections that are increasing. Notice how in here it doesn't have to do with the x-axis because it goes past the negatives and the positives, right? It's from the lowest point going up to the highest point, okay? Or from here, from the lowest going up to the highest point, from the lowest to the highest. That's increasing. And so it's increasing where x is, so it's between -3 and -2, it increases. So again, we put x is greater than -3, but it's less than -2. It just means in the values between -3 and -2, the graph is increasing. From here, again, for x is -1, and it continues to grow at a different pace in here and in here, but it's still growing. So between -1 and +1. So the other section where it's increasing is when x is greater than -1 and +1. Again, it just means it's increasing between those 2 points. Put the negative on here, or the one on the left to the left, the one on the right to the right. And the last section where it's increasing is between 2 and 3, right? So it's increasing when x is greater than 2, but less than 3. Or it also means between those 2 points, between those values of x, it's increasing. Okay, now let's do decreasing. Decreasing is when the slope is negative. So in here, this section right here, and this section right here, again, we just look at between what values of x. So it's between -4 and -3. So we say x is greater than -4, but is less than -3. Also, in here, this point is at -2, this point is at -1. So between those points is also is decreasing. Okay, so when x is greater than -2 and it's less than -1. And finally, the other point is between 1 and 2. So when x is greater than 1 but less than 2. And again, exactly at those dots, it's just, the slope is just 0. It's not increasing and it's not decreasing. Okay, so let's apply this to a real life scenario. It says, imagine that you have $400 in the bank. You start spending $100 every 3 months. Graph M equals 15, meaning 15 months. Find the function that represents this in terms of M. So f of M is equals to what you start with. And then it says that you start spending $100 every 3 months. And so we're going to put it as -100 over 3m. Ideally, you want to change this because the constant is at the end. So we put -100 thirds m plus 400. So that will be our function. And so for the graph, we have 400 when we begin. Then after 3 months, we spent 100. So after 3 months, so that's why the slope is -100 over 3. -100, right? Because it's going down 100 over the next 3 months. And it makes sense. After 6 months, you spend another 100. After another 3 months, you spend another 100. And after another 3 months, you spend another $100. So it's right there. And it says to graph on to month 15. So that means that you're spending money that doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the bank. So it's right here, -100. Okay, so my points are right there. And so that will be my graph. Now, if it says to stop in there and start right there, look at the information. It says, on the graph above, indicate where the graph is positive. Let's color it brown. It's positive right here, where it started. And then this. Why? Because it's above the x-axis. Okay, so where is it? Oh, between 0 and 12. Remember that we're looking at the graph, but the values of x, which is between 0 and 12. So for 3a, x is greater than 0, but is less than 12. Okay, and yes, we're not talking about the values for y. We're just looking at the x values when we're writing the notation. Indicate where the graph is negative. So this will be this part right here below the x-axis. Again, we look at the x values, and for the graph that they ask is between 12 and 15. So x is greater than 12, but less than 15. And in here we can actually include the 15 because 0 is neutral, it's not positive or negative, but this one is in the negatives, -100. Okay, why we don't include the equal in here? 12 is at exactly the x-axis at 0 for y, so that's why it's neutral. Indicate the x-intercept. This is new information. in this lesson, but we have seen it in the past. So the x-intercept is where my graph touches the x-axis. In this case, it will be 12, 0. What does it mean? It means that on the 12th month, I have $0. Okay, indicate the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where the line intersects at the y-axis. So it's, remember that we write the value of x first. So it's 0, 400. In here, it's not in 15 months, it's month 0, or right now. We can just interpret it as right now, or in the present, I have $400. Okay, is the graph increasing or decreasing? Well, the slope is negative, so we can say that it's decreasing. Because the slope is negative, it's decreasing. For the next graph, I decided to apply it to my own life. And these are actually, right now it's 2022. The prices are going insane. And so I went into my bank account because I use one credit card specifically just to pay for my gas. I'll show you a video on how I do my finances so that you can apply it also to apply this fun math to your real life. But these are the prices that I paid in the last couple of weeks. And so if you see, it's been going up and down. I used to pay not too far ago, like 7 months ago, I used to pay less than 74. And I was thinking that that was super expensive. There was a point in June, I believe, that I paid 112, 110, 111, and I even have a TikTok on that and doing the math to that. Anyways, these are the prices. How much do you pay per week? So I usually go to put gas every Friday. If you notice, those are the dates for Fridays. And the usage of my gas, it depends on how many times or how many trips I use. So that's another component. So it might be related to the price, but also how much we drive or the needs of us driving. And it was in October, so I deleted that part. It's just related to this. I had a different problem, but I changed it. Okay, so it says that I was going to graph it, but I decided to do it with you. If you want, I'm just going to be plotting the points. I'm not going to give additional information than plotting them, so you can go ahead and advance the video if you wish. July 1st, 96.05, and I'm going to round it to the nearest dollar, okay? Even if I go down a little bit, that's okay. So 96 is right there. 92.31 rounds to 92. So in July 8th, 92. July 15, 103. Yeah, 103. Oh, that went above. So 102, 103, somewhere in there. Then 102 for July 22nd. More or less right there. July 29th is 81. So right there. And if you notice, there is some lines in here that's saying that we're omitting some information from 0 to basically 81. Then we have 97.29. 97 is around here. For August 12, okay, let me move it. For August 12 is 89. Right there. August 19 is 83, 88. That means around 84. So around there. August 26 is 87. Around there. September 2, 96. That was last Friday. It's around there. So that's how our graph looks. Let me connect the points. Okay, so the graph is right there. It says, what is the minimum? The minimum is this lowest point right here. The minimum or global minimum is July. For the X value is July 29th. For the Y value will be 81. What does this represent? That in July 29th, I paid $81. Whoops, $81 in gas. I should say for gas. What is the maximum? The maximum will be this point right here, which is in July 15. I paid $103. Okay, July 15th, and it's 103. In July 15th, I paid $103 for gas. Okay, so that will be my global maximum, the global maximum. Increasing, where is the graph increasing? So let's go up there and see where it's increasing. So we're going to say that it's increasing right here. Even though I'm drawing down, remember that we read from left to right. So from here to here, this one is increasing. Decreasing, decreasing, increasing. From left to right is going up. You never read it backwards. Okay, not from right to left. And then the other section where it's increasing is right here and right here. Okay, how do we annotate that? It's between July 8th and July 15th. It's increasing. So it's increasing between July 8th and July 15th. The prices went up, or I drove more, I don't know. From X is after July 8th, but less or before July 15th. Okay, also, I can see both. Also between July 29th and August 5th. So July 29th, but before August 5th. And finally, since these are next to each other, we can go from here up to here. Okay, so all the way from August 19th to September 2nd is going to be increasing. August 19th, and I can't fit it in there, but it's September 15th. Now for decreasing, let's go back there. From here to here, it's decreasing. In here, a tiny decrease. In here is a big decrease. Also in here, and from here to here as well. So we can say that it's decreasing between July 1st and July 8th. July 1st and July 8th. And the other decrease occurred between two decreases together at different rates, but from July 15th to July 29th. So July 15th, between July 15th and July 29th. And the last decrease occurred between August 5th and August 19th. August 5th and August 19th. And with this, we end our lesson. If you can please give us a thumbs up, subscribe around here. This is the link to the entire unit, and here you will find the next lesson. Now you're able to do 6.1 and have fun.